James Gunn has enough potential to follow through on the success of Superman, but the perfect sequel to the 2025 film already exists in animation. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. In Superman, Unbound, a brash hero takes the center stage against Brainiac as the Man of Steel fights relentlessly to protect Krypton's capital city, Kandor, as well as Earth's metropolis. While Superman is famously renowned for his otherworldly righteousness and a just outlook on all things, xenomorphic or otherwise, Unbound brings out the bolder version of him, who is yet to turn sage and wise by time and experience. With a fair amount of politics and way too many ethical dilemmas to tread in the film, Superman, Unbound mimics the complexities of James Gunn's Superman. The conflict shown in Brainiac's instruction to explore and learn all that is knowable about the galaxy and his literal interpretation of the directive that causes him to destroy civilizations posits a moral yet dangerous dilemma, which can easily best the intensity of the Borovia versus Jaramper conflict. In a perfect world, the 2013 animated movie, Superman, Unbound, would be the perfect successor to James Gunn's DCU debut feature. The film has all the qualities and story elements suited to follow up Clark Kent's story from his early rise in Metropolis and fight against Lex Luthor and his clone, Ultraman. Unbound is upbeat, optimistic, full of hope for the future, has a deep-rooted connection to Krypton throughout the movie's arc rather than keeping it as a one-and-done forgotten backstory, and above all, boasts a villain formidable enough to single-handedly capture and beat Superman. If that alone does not make it a spiritual successor to the DCU Superman, then what else qualifies? In a perfect world, the 2013 animated movie, Superman, Unbound, would be the perfect successor to James Gunn's DCU debut feature. The film has all the qualities and story elements suited to follow up Clark Kent's story from his early rise in Metropolis and fight against Lex Luthor and his clone, Ultraman. Unbound is upbeat, optimistic, full of hope for the future, has a deep-rooted connection to Krypton throughout the movie's arc rather than keeping it as a one-and-done forgotten backstory, and above all, boasts a villain formidable enough to single-handedly capture and beat Superman. If that alone does not make it a spiritual successor to the DCU Superman, then what else qualifies? After much despair, doubt, and debate, James Gunn upturned the audience's expectations by delivering a near-perfect entree into the DCU with Superman. But the issue with swinging right out of the gate with nice reviews and great ratings is that Gunn is now expected to maintain the bar at a high and constant level throughout his run at DCU. Considering his previous show and tell at Marvel with the Guardians trilogy, Gunn has already earned the masses' trust. DC now trusts him to deliver a meaningful, impactful, driven, and emotional journey that can stand the test of time and cure superhero fatigue. Despite its 75-minute runtime, Superman, Unbound paints a complete picture of the Kryptonian superhero, shows him at his worst before he can rise to his best, while also preaching the value of love, support, trust, and teamwork. Voiced by Matt Bomer, Unbound Superman holds a mirror to David Corenswet's version in the DC Universe. The film is rated 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and has grossed $3.5 million in domestic home video earnings, the numbers. All of this might be too much to ask of James Gunn, but the filmmaker has steadily laid out his plans for DCU Chapter 1, which is nothing short of dynamic, powerful, motivated, and glorious. His projects range all over the board, from a true detective-style Lantern series to a full-on body horror movie, Clayface. Other projects like The Brave and the Bold, Sergeant Rock, and a parallel timeline Peacemaker ensure that Gunn is not afraid of coloring outside the lines. It is this unpredictable eccentricity of the filmmaker that makes his universe so interesting and refreshing to watch. Whether or not he can follow up with the success of Superman and deliver on his potential remains to be seen. A dark deleted Lex Luthor scene and casting what-ifs reveal surprising layers behind James Gunn's new Superman film. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Superman is probably hopeful overall, but it almost got really dark with a deleted scene that showed just how ruthless Lex Luthor really is. In the movie, Superman is trapped and weakened, and he watches helplessly as Lex executes Malik Ali, a kind falafel vendor who had helped him earlier. Though the movie shows this only briefly and from a distance, originally, it was way more eerie and graphic. James Gunn has apparently revealed a deleted moment involving Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult, that ramps up the villain's cruelty to a shocking level. Even though Gunn's Superman may have shaped up the DCU's most hopeful chapter yet, it almost plunged into disturbingly dark territory with Hoult's scene. In the second act, after Superman, aka David Corenswet, turns himself in to save Krypto the dog, he's powerless to stop Luthor from executing Malik Ali. While Gunn originally shot the scene in far gorier detail, it turns out to be really dark. As Gunn himself admitted in a Happy Sad Confused podcast, "There's a really dark thing in there. Once I saw the movie, I'm like, this is too dark." Though the scene was toned down in the final cut, the hint of it still lingers, giving Holt's Luthor an unnerving edge without even crossing into outright horror. And Burek, he's so funny. He lays down on his back and starts soaking up the blood. Then Nick looks over at Superman and says, "I'll see you tomorrow." Gunn even admitted that Nicholas Holt's delivery was perfect, and that moment shows Lex's cold, controlling side in a way that's almost unrealistic and shocking. Furthermore, Gunn shared that the scene was cut early because it pushed things too far and wasn't included in test screenings. Even so, it's clear he wanted to show a darker, more complex LA, a villain who's not just evil but ice-cold and calculating. What makes the scene so chilling is the twisted power play that follows. Zlatko Burek, who plays the Boravian president Vasil Gurkos, actually lies down on the floor to soak up Malik's blood. As Gunn shared. Moreover, Cooper wasn't the right fit for Lex, given his age. However, Gunn had plenty of praise for him. He said, "Bradley would have been a great Lex. Bradley's great at everything." Instead, Cooper took on the role of Jor-El, Superman's father, in a cameo that the creator said required someone with the stature of what we imagine that character being, comparing the legacy to Marlon Brando's original portrayal. Also, Gunn explained that casting Cooper as Jor-El worked better because another major revelation James Gunn shared was about the casting choices for Superman, and admitted that Bradley Cooper was actually considered for the role of Lex Luthor before Nicholas Hoult was cast. Yep, on the podcast, Gunn explained, "I did talk to Bradley about it. We had a short conversation, and at the end, I did want Lex to be someone that was more a contemporary of Superman's." Though Gunn reasoned that Lex needed to be closer in age to Superman to highlight the rivalry, he did admit that Lex's character is crucial for Superman as well as the DC universe. But honestly, what if Cooper had played Lex Luthor? It must have been tempting. Given Cooper's charisma and range, he could have given Lex a different kind of edge. Cooper's Lex may have been a more intense, brooding villain who's just as charming as he is dangerous. A lot of times, Jor-El is played by a 70-year-old man, and that means he was 70 when he had a baby, so I wanted somebody that wasn't too old. Undoubtedly, Cooper's presence did bring a fresh take on the iconic role. In the end, Gunn was confident of both his choices as Hoult delivered a compelling, younger Lex while Cooper brought depth to Jor-El's character. However, Cooper as Jor-El also makes sense because he commands respect and warmth, fitting the role of Superman's father perfectly. Honestly, I think both actors were placed where they shine brightest, but the what if of Cooper as Lex will definitely linger in fans' minds as an